Huawei didn't bypass the chip ban this week, they did something far more dangerous. They published a paper arguing that the machines the entire ban is built around, the most expensive machines ever sold, may no longer decide who wins. Washington's export control regime rests on a single assumption that without extreme ultraviolet lithography, meaningful progress is physically impossible. Huawei just answered with measured silicon, a 53% jump in transistor density on the same old manufacturing node, and a new strategy called LogicFolding that attacks that assumption at its foundation. Because if these numbers hold, the most guarded technology on Earth doesn't get stolen, and it doesn't get copied. It gets sidestepped. Stay with me, because the deeper you go, the stranger the numbers get. On July 3rd, He Tingbo, the president of Huawei's semiconductor business, uploaded version 2 of a paper to ChinaXiv, China's open research archive. The paper describes what Huawei calls the Tau law, a proposed successor to Moore's law that measures progress not in shrinking transistor geometry, but in time the delay it takes signals to travel through a system. Version 1, released back in May, was mostly theory, and the industry largely shrugged. Version 2 is a different animal. It contains measured production test data comparing Huawei's upcoming Kirin 2026 chip against the current flagship Kirin 9030 Pro. Voltage, frequency, normalized power, die area, power density, real silicon, real numbers, published for the entire world to inspect and attack. Here is why that matters. Huawei cannot buy extreme ultraviolet lithography machines. American export controls cut the company off years ago, locking it onto SMIC's 7nm class process while TSMC and Samsung race toward 2 nanometers and below. The conventional wisdom said that without ever smaller transistors, Huawei's chips would stagnate, and for a while, the data seemed to agree. Across 3 consecutive Kirin generations, peak clock speeds crawled upward by less than 6% combined. The wall looked real. So Huawei stopped trying to make transistors smaller and started stacking them instead. The technique is called LogicFolding, and it rests on a manufacturing process called hybrid bonding, fusing 2 complete wafers face-to-face with copper-to-copper connections so dense that the result behaves less like 2 chips in a package and more like 1 chip with a second story. According to the paper, the Kirin 2026 achieves a bonding pitch of 1.5 micrometers, meaning the vertical connections between the 2 stacked layers sit closer together than the width of a red blood cell. At that density, something unusual happens to the physics. Data no longer has to travel millimeters across a flat die. It travels micrometers, straight down, and shorter wires mean faster signals and less wasted energy on every single transaction. Huawei describes the critical threshold with a term borrowed from mechanics, the gear ratio. It is the ratio between the spacing of those vertical bonds and the spacing of the chip's top layer metal wiring. The paper argues that when this ratio falls below 3 and ideally approaches 1, 2 stacked wafers stop behaving like separate dies glued together and start behaving like 2 metal layers of the same chip. At that point, designers are no longer stacking big functional blocks like building blocks. They can split circuits vertically at the level of individual logic cells, letting design software treat the whole stack as one continuous canvas. Imagine folding a sprawling 1-story city into a 2-story building where every office sits directly above the exact department it works with. Commute times collapse. That is the claim, and it is a genuinely elegant one. Now the numbers, because this is where the paper stops being philosophy and becomes a provocation. Transistor density, 155 million transistors per square millimeter on the flat baseline chip, rising to 238 million after folding. That is a 53% step on the very same manufacturing node, a jump Huawei says would normally demand about 3 years of traditional geometric shrinking. Power consumption at matched performance down 41%. Peak core frequency up from 2.75 GHz to 3.1, a 12% gain in a single generation after 3 generations that together managed less than half of that. And this is not a laboratory curiosity. The chip has taped out, it is in silicon validation right now, and it is scheduled to ship inside the Mate 90 series this fall. Within months, anyone with a benchmark app will be able to check Huawei's homework. Now some honesty, because this channel does not sell fairy tales. Every number you just heard comes from Huawei's own paper, and none of it has been independently verified yet. There are real reasons for caution. The analysts at SemiAnalysis flagged the biggest one. Huawei calculates transistor density using total package footprint. And when you stack two active layers, that accounting method inflates the figure in a way TSMC and Intel do not mirror when they quote their own nodes. So the headline comparison to leading-edge Western processors should be treated as marketing math until neutral teardowns arrive. Second, hybrid bonding itself is not a Huawei invention. TSMC's stacking platform, Intel's direct bonding technology, and AMD's stacked cache chips all reached production earlier with deeper manufacturing experience. What would be genuinely new here is cell-level vertical partitioning on a mass-produced mobile processor, and that remains a claim, not a demonstrated fact. Third, stacking logic on top of logic creates a brutal thermal problem. Two heat-generating layers sharing one escape route, and the paper's test conditions at 25 degrees Celsius are far kinder than the inside of a phone on a summer afternoon. And finally, mass production yield, the silent killer of brilliant packaging ideas, is unproven until millions of units ship. Extraordinary claims, awaiting extraordinary evidence. That evidence arrives in a few months, which is exactly what makes this moment worth watching. But here is the part that should keep Western strategists up at night, because this paper was never really about one phone chip. It is a decade-long roadmap. Through silicon vias migrating from the top metal layer down to metal layer 6, a move, the paper says, frees roughly 30% of upper layer routing resources. Bonding pitch shrinking below 1 micrometer with alignment accuracy inside half a micrometer. Clock frequencies climbing toward 4 GHz near the end of the decade, and the paper sketches 5 GHz with density beyond 400 million transistors per square millimeter by 2031. Figures Huawei frames as equivalent to a 1.4 nanometer process reached without ever touching the forbidden machines. Then, around 2030, LogicFolding arrives in the Ascend line, Huawei's artificial intelligence accelerators, joined by a unified bus interconnect, the paper says, compresses cross-node latency from tens of microseconds down to roughly 100 nanoseconds, and an optical engine called Hi1 pushing 8 terabits per second over light instead of copper. The stated destination, more than 100-fold growth in artificial intelligence hardware integration density by 2035. Every one of those forward-looking figures is a projection, not a promise. But projections published alongside measured baseline silicon are how serious engineering organizations signal intent. Step back, and the shape of this story changes completely. For 4 years, the entire export control architecture has rested on a single assumption, that leading-edge lithography is the choke point, and whoever controls the light controls the future. Huawei's answer, spelled out in a public paper for anyone to read, is that geometry is not the only axis of progress. If you cannot go smaller, go up. If you cannot shrink the transistor, shrink the distance between transistors. And almost nobody noticed what was actually announced this week. Tactically, a phone chip claiming to claw back 3 years of lost ground chips within months, and by winter, we will know whether these numbers survive contact with reality. Strategically, a sanctioned company just proposed the first industry scaling framework to come out of China and openly invited the global semiconductor world to build tools and standards around it. And existentially, if time really can replace geometry as the measure of progress, then the wall built around advanced lithography stops being a wall and becomes a detour sign. And the next decade of computing may be decided not by who owns the smallest transistor, but by who folds silicon best. If this story gave you a new way to see the chip war, subscribe now. Because we track the moves that don't make the headlines, the shifts that rewrite global power before the mainstream catches on.